am I supposed to go? Oh, welcome guys to another episode of Nightmare Road. I, of course, am your host, Decon, here with the very, very Mexican Laura Slasher.
Oh, jeez. All right.
All right, so today's episode. Oh, by the way, we got to give a shout out to Sean Burris from the Shadow Nation. So head on over to the Shadow Nation on YouTube and check out the show.
Anything else?
Yeah, Loot by Lottie, guys, go out there, get yourself a box. If it's your first time buying it, use the code Lucky Loot for 10% off your first purchase.
Mm-hmm.
It's gonna be a good purchase. So yeah, so just hit that and let's continue. So
Yep.
today's episode is on a case that it was. How many years ago was it?
7.
Damn, 7 years ago. But now everybody's talking about it again, and it's like, why was everybody talking about it? What's going on? I don't know who talks like this, but I'm doing it.
I don't.
Um, but why is it that people are talking about it? Like, what the hell's going on?
I mean, I don't think people ever really stop talking about it. The thing is just now that a book came
What?
was very loud. Your knife was like dragging all across your
That's
wire
for a
there.
fact. That was
Okay.
on purpose.
A book came out, or I don't know when it came out, but
What is it
it's
called?
it's called The Perfect Father, I believe.
Jeez, what a fucking ironic name.
Yeah, but it's basically just about all of it, the whole thing, beginning to end. I assume I haven't finished reading it, so I don't know how it ends. Well, I mean, I know how it ended.
Well, I was gonna say, like, geez, like you're late to the party. I know
Yeah,
how it ends.
yeah, no, I know how it
I
ends.
almost turned. I almost turned into Matan. I was almost like, I'm over here talking to this girl that doesn't know the ending of a case that everybody knows.
Yeah, well, it's not a good
Name
one.
10 murders.
Oh,
Name 10 murders. Anyways, so you know that guy that named 10 books.
yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay, yeah,
Can
that's what I
you
was
name
going.
10?
The what?
Can you name 10?
10 books?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
Okay.
name 10
I'm not
books.
telling you to name 10. I'm just asking.
Oh, I was gonna say, like, I can name 75 off the top of my head.
Yeah, well, go ahead.
So, all right. So, where are we gonna start with this story? Are we gonna begin with like they held hands one day and they fell in love, or no?
Nobody
They
cares.
were, yeah, no, they were weirdos. They fell in love. They got married, and he was like some kind of, I don't know, a henpecked man.
A what?
Henpecked. You never heard that term before?
No.
So, okay, so there's a pecking order in the chicken world.
Mm-hmm.
So hens will peck at each other,
Yeah.
and the dominant hen will peck at all the hens beneath her. So when there's a man who's actually whooped, like whose wife actually runs the house, they said that guy is henpecked. Like she's above him.
Oh, jeez. All right.
So yeah, he was henpecked. Anyway, so where do you want to begin?
I mean, I think, at the murder day is good.
Okay, so
Yeah, I don't really care about, before.
yeah, so the body cam footage, right? So the cop there,
Yeah.
he's talking to some girl, and she's like freaking out, and she's like, I tried calling this dude, he's not picking up, and when he did answer, he was annoyed. Isn't that what she said?
Yeah. He was annoyed. He said, like, I don't have time or something, and he hung up. He was working, so he didn't have time for her.
Yeah, he didn't have time.
So his wife and daughters were missing. He was like, I'm working right now. So
yeah, so the cop calls him. The cop's like, I'm Officer Sexy. I need you here at what?
Hmm?
What? What's funny?
Nothing.
Oh, that was his name.
Okay.
So he's like, "Hi, I'm Officer," and the whole time he was just like, "Hey, I'm Officer." What?
Yeah, it's true. I saw it.
Yeah, that's how he was. He was like, "Hey, I'm Officer Sexy, and we need to get inside your house, right?" And
Yeah.
what was weird was that he ran up to like the guy ran up as if the cop was a wrestler and he was like in the crowd like trying to get a high five. He's like, and he like ran up
Right.
and
Well, maybe it was. I'm sure it was on an act as like I'm panicked right now, but I think he was more panicked that like the cops got called. He wasn't expecting them to call the cops.
yeah, he wasn't expecting the cops to be there so quick.
No, no, he didn't expect. I think the friend to do that. I know that he had said, like she doesn't message me back sometimes, but her friends, like, it's odd for her to not message them back, blah, blah, blah. I just don't think that he thought they were going to take it that far to like call the cops.
Yeah.
Be like,
So
she.
the cops like opened the door, you know.
Mhm.
So the guy he went into the garage and I think that he cooked a hot pocket, you know, because he like took a long ass time for him to open that front door.
He took a minute and 7 seconds.
I was expecting him to open the door and he was wearing a completely different outfit.
Yeah, he took a shower and everything.
Yeah,
It was ridiculous.
he
He
was
was just
wearing like
going.
oh, he was wearing like leopard print pajamas. You
Yeah. Yeah,
he's
no,
like,
he was going from garage to front door. I don't think usually, that's a
it's gonna
long
take
way.
that.
The garage is right next to the door most times.
Yeah, they did mention that. So that happens, right?
Hmm.
So they're asking him questions, and one of the neighbors was like, "Hey, I have this security cam footage, right?"
Hmm.
And it was like a ring camera, right?
Yeah, some maybe not because no, it was. I think it was just like a normal like security
It's
cam
like,
because the ring camera
just
would have been just forward.
oh, okay. So it's like, yeah, you know, every day I spy on your wife, you know, as she's going throughout the day, and this time I
Don't
was like,
do that. This man solved the case himself. Don't do that to him.
um, so he's like, hey, I'm usually a pervert, but this day was weird. So he's like, Officer Sexy, and Officer Sexy's like, yeah, just go ahead and put on the security footage. I want to see, you know.
It's
So
crazy that that's exactly what he looks like when he did that.
yeah, it was nuts. I'm like, what is this
Yeah,
cop doing?
yeah,
Like, how is there so? And it's his body cam too. It's like, how is there so many mirrors?
yeah. How many times did
Like
you
we,
watch it? To be honest?
yeah, I watched it quite a bit. I had to get that impression down. What the hell?
Yeah.
I had to get that impression down. So they play the footage, right? They're like, all right, let's play this footage. And this guy's face wasn't he like this? He was gonna like, you know,
He
like
was freaking out. He had his arms up the way you just had them right now.
it was,
He was pacing like that and the other way, the way the officer did. Yep, exactly like that. He was pacing around. He was on his phone, which is like one of the things that they found weird. Oh God, Jesus Christ. Okay, that's one of the things that they found weird is when they went into the house.
that he was doing that.
Yeah, he was just dancing.
He's like, what the fuck is he
Just
doing? He's just
started
like,
dancing.
they used to call me John Travolta. Um, no,
Yeah,
but it was weird.
they found it weird because he was just on his phone, and didn't look not even half as concerned as the girl's friend looked. She was very
Yeah.
concerned.
So one of the things that he was saying was like, I thought it was weird that he pulled up the truck all the way up the driveway, right?
Mhm. Yeah.
Because apparently this guy was like, I don't know if he had OCD, but he seemed like he was like a freak with like everything.
Who?
Um,
Chris
uh,
Watts?
yeah, Chris Watts.
Uh-huh.
So he wanted everything to be clean, even the lawn, like he was like didn't want like grease stains all over the fucking driveway,
Well, I
and then
mean, it was a nice house. I'm sure he didn't, want to get it all messed up. Like, he didn't want oil stains on the driveways, basically.
fucking dumbass, it's a driveway, you know, like fucking idiot.
Yeah, but I mean, did you see the house?
Yeah, who gives a shit? Then don't get a fucking car.
Yeah, well,
Fucking
so
get a flying carpet.
he didn't want oil stains on the thing, so he didn't park up there. Um, and the neighbor was like, "That's weird," because he usually doesn't go all the way up there. He says that it records everything, like all the way from it detects movement down the street. So
Yeah,
usually he
yeah,
sees everything, and he's like, "I've
yeah.
never seen that before."
Yeah, and this guy was nervous. He was just kind of like, he was doing that thing. Like, you ever seen somebody who's really nervous and they don't know what to do? Like, he literally did this. He was kind of like,
Yeah, it's like in that movie. They're like, I don't know what to do with my hands. It was like that. Yeah.
and that's when he started dancing. We're like, what
Hmm.
the hell?
Yes.
So anyway, so that whole thing happened, right? And the cops were like, all
Mhm.
right, that's weird. Officer Sexy's like, that's weird. So they bring him into not an interrogation. They bring him into like an interview.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, we're gonna bring you in. We're just gonna
I
ask
think
you
that
some
was the
questions.
day after that they took him in for that.
Yeah. So they bring him in, and they're asking him questions like, and one of the big things was that he wasn't concerned. Like
Mm-mm.
they talk about this. He sits there, and he's just kind of like, like one thing that you do notice if you watch the interview was that he was experiencing a lot of vocal fry. Kind of like my audio right now probably sounds like I'm half robot, half paper bag. So he was experiencing vocal fry, which usually they look out for because this happens when your mouth is dry,
Hmm.
but you don't want to sound nervous, so you just keep talking, and then your larynx is drying up, so you kind of have this voice, and it's going.
No.
It's a gross sound,
Yeah, it's nasty.
you know. But he was doing that a lot, and they were asking him questions. So they're like, "What was your morning routine like?" And he's like, "Oh, I did this, and then I packed my tools up, and I had my tools, because I have to have my tools, and I had my lunch, and I was doing my lunch." And he's like going into like specifically unnecessary details,
Yeah.
and they were
He's
asking
like,
him
I make
questions.
eggs. Like, just say you make food. Like, what are you
Yeah,
doing?
fucking idiot. Just say food. And he was like, yeah, so I got my protein because I have to have my protein, my pro. He sounds kind of like Denzel Washington when he plays a role and he has to whisper, you know?
Jeez.
He's like, go watch my movie, Equalizer 2. It's got a lot of action in the movie. You're gonna like it. It's gonna be like the first one. So like he was like, like he was like doing all these things, and and then the cops would throw him a curveball by asking him something. So they're saying like, "What tools did you pack?" He was like, "I packed my wrenches, I packed my meters, I packed my." He's going on, and they asked him like, "Do you use these every single day?" And he goes, "Yeah." Why would you unpack them?
Yeah, it makes no
And
sense.
then so then he was kind of like, I'm just very my family, and he changes his stuff because it's almost like he started to catch on a little bit. Like, okay, they're
Hmm.
trying to. So then he did the thing that they were expecting him to do, which is like to act super concerned. I just want them to come home. I just want them, I just miss the way they used to. And he starts speaking in past tense,
Hmm.
about
He
his
asked about the
daughters.
little girl's shoes, and he's like, "Oh, she had these, blah blah
Yeah.
blah. She would wear these little shoes."
Yep.
Oh,
She loved these shoes, and
mhm.
and they're
He
also they
didn't even
started
say what
asking.
he did.
Yeah, it was so bizarre. So
No, he didn't even say what
the what?
he didn't even say what he did. We just started
Oh,
talking
what?
about, yeah, what he did.
Oh, I got distracted. So Um, anyway, so we're gonna go piece by piece. Anyway, so
What?
so the cops are asking them these questions, right? So they're looking for like when you interrogate somebody, there's two methods of interrogation. There's the read method. Um, the read method is mostly the guy that made up this method. He was a detective, and unfortunately for this guy, he said he's not looking for the truth. He's just looking for a confession. So they just want somebody to confess, right? This guy also put away 5 innocent people because he got a confession out of them because he basically put them in a room, blasted the heat, and then these people were like experiencing, and they just like I did,
I would
so
confess to.
yeah,
Forget
jeez,
that.
and or he yeah. So the method that they were using a more natural and I can't even say a word methods that these cops have picked up over the years through experience. So kind of like trust your gut type of thing.
Hmm.
What do you think? So what this cop was doing is he was asking him questions things that he knew that he was gonna say that he's gonna tell the truth. He was like, "So, what kind of job do you do?" And he's like, "Oh, I work in these sites." And he's like, "Okay, and you know, are you the top guy? Are you the what at this? I'm this." And he gives his position. And then he was like, "That day, when you, why didn't you pick up your phone?" And then he's like, "Well, so what he's doing now, he's measuring his tone of voice when he's lying and when he's telling the truth. So he starts pressing this guy, right? Slightly, not a lot, because he doesn't want to scare him. So he's just asking him these questions, but then pressing just a little bit. So mostly he was speaking. He was speaking as if whoever has them, whoever has my family.
Yeah.
Basically just like saying things like that. But then when he would talk about his daughters, he would talk to them in the past tense.
Hmm.
Like, so I hope that she's fine. I hope that whoever has them. I hope. But when it comes to his daughters, he's like, I just missed the way that they would. I just I don't care if they split my head open. I just want them to,
Yeah.
run me over and just love me the way they used to.
See,
You
and he
know,
started doing that, I think, when he realized that he was speaking about them in past tense. He started like, I want them to come back inside. Like, I want them to, come to the house, blah, blah, blah. But before it was more, they used to this,
yeah,
blah, blah, blah.
they used to,
Yeah.
and so then he started doing the next thing, which is he was basically being the like super loving dad.
Hmm.
Like I love. So one of the things was that he said, "What is your morning routine like?" He says, I lay their lunches. I prepare the lunches at night. So in the morning, we just put them, we just pack their lunch in his little bag, and I have a change of clothes, and I have a blanket for in case they have to take a nap. He goes through this whole thing of what he does. Right? This is what he does every day. So then they asked him, like, can you walk us through that morning? Again, they asked him, like, walk us through this morning, and he's like, I did my lunch, da, 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 da. And he went through the whole thing, and then they're like, oh, you didn't pack their lunch, and then he kind of like stopped, and he's kind of like, oh shit, because
Well, he knew.
because well, yeah, he knew, but he said that he didn't know because everybody was there when he left. That's why he
Yeah.
went to work. He's like, I went to work because everybody was there. Everybody was there when I left.
Yeah.
So the fact they said, what did you do? He fucked up and he was like, well, I did this. And he's like, you didn't pack their lunch or their stuff? And then he's kind of like, it's like,
Yeah.
well,
It's just gross. Like, it's gross how he lies about it. I guess, like, he just seems so calm about it,
yeah,
like all of the lie, and then they move on to like, did you cheat on her? He's like, no. Like,
yes,
they
yeah, that's a big thing. They
have
knew.
your phone. Like, they have your phone.
They have
No.
your phone. They knew that he was having an affair, and then they asked him these
Mm.
questions like, well, did you cheat on your wife? Were you having an
No,
extramarital affair? I would never. I would,
no, they didn't have his phone at this point. I think it was like the day after. They hadn't gotten anything yet.
No, 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 no. You're completely right. But they knew that he was cheating because of the
Yeah.
way that he answered the question.
Hmm.
Like he does that second one. He's like, no, no, I would never.
Yeah.
And then he starts like and then he starts going back into the vocal fry. His mouth is
Hmm.
beginning to dry up. They have his tail now. So he's like, we always made the promise that if we ever wanted to step out of the marriage, we would talk about it first. And they're like, really? Because no one has ever said that.
Yeah. He's like,
And then,
what is
and then and then he's like, well, what I mean by that is I would hope, you know. And the thing with these detectives is that you want them to think that they're buying your bullshit. So
Mhm.
even when they make a lame attempt at a joke, you laugh. You practice your laugh. It has to be a convincing laugh. So he's
Yeah.
like, and so then they laugh together. So they're starting to like they got his tail, right? So let's end this because this was an interview. This wasn't an interrogation.
Yeah.
Um, then they bring in the girl, right?
I
Oh,
believe she it was, I
oh,
think, like a couple days after, because she had seen him. Or
Yeah,
she had not talked to him.
so she came in with her dad, and the cops are like, "All right, well, you're here. You don't have to tell us anything. But you have to sign it. Just talk to us if you want to talk." And they do this method where they they said you'll feel if you and we know you have something to get off your chest. You know, so just we're gonna help you out. Just you have something to get off your chest. Just do it. You'll feel so much better. And then this psycho bitch, um, she starts to basically talk about herself. I enjoy I do this and I do that.
Mhm.
And what was creepy about that? I think that interview was even worse than Watts's interview because this was somebody that couldn't see past anybody but herself. Like she just focused on herself,
Yeah.
and she was talking about how this whole thing. Like, why did you come in? Did you feel guilt? Did you feel this? Did you feel that? And she says, how is this going to look on me? How is this going to reflect on me? How do I look in this? Like, what are people saying about me? Do they think that I had something to do with this? And she's just going on and on about herself. You
She even
know,
I mean, she even told him, like, if you did something, you're gonna ruin your life. You're gonna ruin
you,
my life. Like, what are you
you're
talking?
gonna you're gonna ruin my life. Yeah.
Which I mean,
So the cop, I think, at some point, if I remember correctly, he was like children are missing. You know,
yeah.
this woman is and then she does this thing. She's like, oh, the little girls, oh, they're so little, oh, and
Mhm.
she like does she say their names? Like, I don't
Um,
remember. I don't remember if she says their names.
in that little whole like show that she did,
Oh yeah, she's like,
I
oh, they're so
don't
little.
think so. I don't think so.
So then she's like, oh, I just have a question, and then they're like, what's the question? She's like, what are they saying? Do you think that this could impact my business? Do you think that this can somehow get back to me? Do you think is this confidential? Is this whole case right now? Is it shut? Like, is
Mhm.
nobody going? And then the cops are like, huh, that's a weird reaction. You cried supposedly for a little bit, and then it's like the dad knew what she was doing. The dad kind of kept jumping in to save her because remember, she's not being interrogated; she's being interviewed. She came in, you know. So then they're like, hey, can we go through your phone? You know, and then she was like, "Oh, it's so embarrassing because there's some raunchy things in there. My dad's here." And they're like, "We're all adults, right?"
Yeah. I mean, they because they don't care about that. Like there's little girls and a pregnant lady missing, and she's like, "Oh, but
Yeah.
my pictures." Like nobody cares about your pictures. Nobody's gonna be looking at
And
your
yeah, and I was gonna be looking at your picture. They probably were, and they're probably judging her, like, "Look at this bitch."
with a married man.
Yeah, with a married man, and so they're getting the interview from her, and she's talking, and then they kept pressing her about her having a boyfriend because she kept saying he was her boyfriend.
Mhm.
And then they're like, "Who's Jim? Who's Jim?" And she's like, "Please don't tell Jim." And then she starts going on, and then she is experiencing the same vocal fry as he does. So they both. It's creepy because they both have the same line pattern.
Yeah.
She's like, "Oh, all these books. I tell people to read books. It's so good for you." And
Ew.
and it was just so gross. And the dad kept like, "Well, and the dad kept saving her." So then they start pressing her like, "Well, you know, you guys did have a conversation back and forth. I noticed that there's messages deleted." And she's like, how, you know, she's like, you just took my phone. Like,
Yeah.
how do you already? And it's because they had already gone through his phone. So they already know that they were having an affair, what was going on.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, she went in with them knowing that they were having an affair. She went in I think that she went in mainly because she was mad, because she didn't
yes,
know that his wife was
that's
pregnant.
that she was pregnant.
Yeah, and so I think that once she found that out, she got
She was like,
angry.
fuck this dude.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and went to
she,
go like, "Well, he was with me." Eh,
yeah,
not really not a good way to do it at all. Like, there's little children missing, and you're doing it for your own,
yeah.
you
She
know
did it for her own. Yeah, she didn't do it because of a goodness of her heart. She did it
Mm-mm.
because she's like, fuck this dude.
Yeah, she was mad.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
crazy.
she was mad. So a lot of the things, and I'm surprised that they didn't like press her further, or call it in as a suspect because she was caught lying a lot of the times in that interview. Like, for example, she was like, he told me he lived in the basement. He has little things set up. He had his bed set up. He had his weight thing. And they're like, have you ever been upstairs? And she was like, no, 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 no. That's his
Mhm.
space. That's their life. I'm not a part of that. You
Yeah.
know. And so the cop, like, they're like, okay. So they moved on to the conversation, and then they went back. He's like, so you've been in that house? And she goes, yeah. She goes, how did you feel being in that house? Like when you went up the stairs. And she says, I was going up the stairs and I just kept seeing their pictures and the way that he had his bed, da, da, da. And then the cops didn't even, they were kind of like, huh,
Hmm.
and then
Before she
and
said she hadn't gone up, and then she's
yeah,
like, I just peeked in their playroom and I went back down. Like,
yeah.
you said you didn't
And
go.
the fact that they tricked her, they're like, how did you feel being in that house? How'd you feel going upstairs? And she's like, oh, I just kept looking at the pictures. Like, you dumb bitch.
She was mad. She was mad after that, actually. Like in, I don't know if it was a book or one of the videos that I had seen, said that after she saw like their pictures and like it's their life, like she was pissed, and he had to, I guess, like, I don't know, make her feel better or whatever for like a while after, because she was like sad about their house containing, pictures of them
Yeah,
as
containing a
a
life
married,
that,
yeah, as a married couple.
yeah, a life that she wished she had. But what's interesting is, again, they had to remind her again, like, yeah, these kids. And then she's like, yeah, the kids, you know because in my life, she said, my life is very well put together. I worked very hard to keep my life together, and that's why
Hmm.
we never went to his house. We rarely went to his house. We've only been to his house twice. And we went out to dinner, we had sex before the dinner, we had sex after the dinner, but then we went back to my place, and that's the only place. So it's almost like she just, like, when they said the little girls, it like didn't even like
No,
touch anything. It just
no,
like went right through her.
yeah,
you know she
it's
started talking about
weird.
herself.
It was more about her and him, and that's what she said that he was doing, was that like after whatever happened, that she said like his main concern was like, don't break up with me, basically, like, I didn't do anything, like, where does this leave us? But she was doing
Yeah, and
the exact same thing, like, where does this
she
leave me?
yeah, and she was like, he kept telling me, like, is the relationship over? Are we done? Is this over?
Mhm.
Please don't. um so she made a comment about the ring, remember? I don't know what to do about this wedding ring.
Yeah,
And she's like, pawn it. And it's like, and they're like, huh,
yeah,
pawn it? Like, what do you mean pawn it?
yeah. She was like, it's a nice ring, you could probably get something out of it, like,
Yeah, like
what?
the lady's
Maybe,
missing.
yeah,
And you're like,
maybe
pawn
don't,
the.
maybe don't do that. Don't
Yeah,
say that.
so yeah, and what was insane was the fact that, um, she, man, it just there's just so much to unpack in her interview. I think her interview was worse than the guys,
Yeah, it was
because
like 3 hours long, and that was
yeah,
just the interview.
and then she said that the night that, they saw the footage, and and they went, she called him, and he called, and she's like, he was groggy because he was sleeping, and she's like, and I told him, how can you be asleep at a time like this? How can you be sleeping?
Yeah.
You should be out there freaking out. Your family's missing. Your pregnant wife is missing.
Hmm.
And so,
But also,
and
like,
then
his wife is missing, his children are missing, and you're still talking to him.
and
Why?
you're talking to him, and not only that, but you're telling pawn the ring.
Was that after she went missing?
That she did, yes,
It
because
was,
he had said, that
oh,
the
it was
that
the day that he killed them. Obviously, she didn't
yeah,
know. Maybe.
yeah. Well, that's the big thing. So they had a conversation about the ring. It's like, okay, because that text was missing, right? And then what the text that was on there was delete everything, you know.
Yeah.
And then you remember that
Yeah.
they're like, so on
You
his
remember this
phone,
look?
like, yeah, like, delete everything. It's like, why would you tell him that? Like, why would you say that? And obviously, the fucking idiot didn't delete everything
Yeah.
because he's
Stupid.
dumb. So, she's like, delete everything, and she's like, well, I said that. Her excuse was such horse shit. She was like, I told him to do that because to me it was like, we're done. You lied to me. You're leaving my life, so delete all the messages.
That itself is crazy. Like, you
Yeah,
lied to me. Like, his wife is missing.
yeah, and his
And you're
daughter,
more concerned about, like, he lied. Like, his
and she
family
got
is gone.
and I think that one of the officers actually reminded her that. Even her dad was kind of like yeah, but the children are missing, and she goes, yeah, but he still lied to me, and it's like again, it's just that she just couldn't get away from herself,
Yeah.
so then the cop is like, there's a lot of text missing, but you guys had a conversation about her leaving, her having the ring and the nightstand, and you told him to pawn it. Like, well, the ring is nice, and it was just like such a psychotic way. Like they're both just insane,
Hmm.
you know.
I mean, she was looking at, like, they had gone through her internet history, like her browser history, and she was looking at wedding dresses. Like, she was looking at all this stuff, and she had told them, like, I think they had asked her, like, have you guys talked about getting married or whatever? And she's like, no, no, never like that. But she was looking at that stuff, like, on her,
Yeah,
you know,
and it was
her
so
own.
bizarre. Do you think she was planning on killing Jim?
No,
Because
she wouldn't have shut up for enough time to be able to. She talks a
yeah,
lot.
so yeah, because she was talking about Jim, and they were like, okay, so tell me this guy Jim, is he a boyfriend? And she's like, he's not a boyfriend. He knows my father. We're not together. And he says, so what happened that night? And she goes, well, I was being comforted by Jim. So Jim was there. She goes, yeah, he lives there. They're like, huh, he sounds like a boyfriend to me. So he has keys to the house. He
Well, he
lives
doesn't
there.
live there. No, he doesn't live there.
That she said he was staying there.
Yeah, for the time that he was visiting, he was like
So
driving to her house, and she wasn't
so
there. He let himself in.
yeah, he would just stay there, and then so that and the cop is who said that he was living there, not me. The
Oh,
cop said, so he's got keys to the house. He says he's staying there, so he's living with you. He's a live-in boyfriend. Like he's a boyfriend. And then she's like, no. He says, so okay, so after this, we're gonna bring in Jim, and it's kind of like, no, 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 don't tell Jim. Don't tell Jim any of this. He doesn't need to be involved with any of this. We just
yeah.
need Jim.
Which, I mean,
Um,
to be fair, I guess you can say, like, he probably didn't know. Um, she said he didn't know about Chris, but Chris knew about him,
well, Chris knew about Jim, which
which is
you
weird.
think, yeah, damn, because he's
Because,
like,
like,
all right, you're cheating on, I'm cheating on my wife. You can cheat on Jim.
yeah,
And and then at some point she said that Jim was gay. Like, Jim was gay, and they're like,
yeah,
really?
she said that. Yeah.
Jim was gay, and they're like, really? That they weren't buying it. And the dad's face, he was kind of like, no, he's not.
No, he's
Like,
not. He's your boyfriend.
he's your boyfriend. Remember that time? So anyway, so that was her interview. It was just bizarre, and then the way they ended the interview was, does my work have to disclose what happened? I don't want people looking at me and saying you did this or this is your fault. That because I want my business to stay together. I don't want this to affect my job. Like fuck, bro.
Yeah,
Like
it was the whole, like, is the media gonna say anything? Do they know my name? Who's gonna
yeah,
see my name? Like, does it matter at this point? Like, there are little children missing.
yeah. The kids are missing. So she just didn't give a shit, and it's
Oh,
so sick. So okay, so then um. Well, fucking Chris walks in. He goes in again, right? This time to confess,
confession, yeah,
right? Yeah, he
confession,
goes in for the confession.
sort of.
So yes, so okay, so he goes in, and now they have a woman in there, and she used on him the same technique that they used on this girl. She's like, the look on your face, Chris, you have something to get off your chest. I can just tell, and then but he's an idiot. Like he's dumber than the other girl, because the other girl's like, look, I'm just here. He was like, oh, how did you know? I was like, you
Yeah.
dumbass.
When they did the polygraph on him, they were like, "You're a really bad liar," and he was just like you. And she's like, thank you for being a really really bad liar. It makes it easier." And, like, he was a very bad liar.
He was, but also they say that to you, like when they're doing the polygraph test on
No,
you.
but he just was. Like,
But yeah, he was
I
retarded.
don't remember the numbers exactly that they said. I think it had to be like -4 or something, and his was like way below that. Like, he was a bad
Yeah,
liar.
Yeah, and also he had a lot of tells. They would ask questions, and he's just like fidgety, you know. And so anyway, so he goes in, right, and he was like, "You have a lot to get off your chest," and he's like, "Oh, you could just tell, huh?" And she goes, "Yeah, I could just tell by the look on your face. I'm gonna tell you." And he sits down and he begins to say that he killed his wife, right?
Um,
But
yeah, sort of. He was saying at first that he didn't know what happened. It wasn't him. He has no idea. Blah blah blah. And then they kind of feed him. I guess they like plant this
uh,
little seed.
yeah,
Um,
bullshit.
yeah, of like maybe she was doing something to them, and that's why you did something to her. And a couple
Yeah,
minutes later, he ran with that, and
it's
he was
basically
like,
like you're a good dad.
mhm. So he was like, "Yeah, she was hurting them, and I had to do something."
Yeah, because he's a fucking
I mean,
idiot.
was
So
it good, or is there
so they're
something
like,
in
oh,
there?
yeah, the what?
He said, "Was there something in there?" You looked at it kind of weird.
Oh, I didn't remember like if I added creatine to that or not.
Oh,
So anyway, so so yeah, they planted the seed and they're like, so what did you do? You know, like, and then he told this fucking ridiculous story. Um,
he said,
that go
"Yeah,
go go
do you
ahead.
want?" Oh, okay. Um, basically,
Go.
basically, he said that he froze a little bit. He said that he walked into the little girl's room, and I guess one of them was already dead, and she was on top of the other one, um, strangling her or like smothering her or
Yeah,
something like that. And he was
so
like, I had to go and pull her off, and then I strangled her. And
so
it's,
then
yeah,
it's such a ridiculous thing because oh, and by the way, I didn't freeze. I just have this I'm I'm just like Drax. I have the ability to move super slow.
oh, let me see, do it again. Hello?
Yeah,
Oh
no, it's
man.
me.
Oh, gee.
Yeah, I just I
About-
just wanna. What did he say? He can move so slow that he's practically invisible to to the human eye or some shit. He's like, I
I
have
couldn't see
mastered
it.
the ability to move so slow that I'm practically invisible. You ever seen somebody that they talk so slow, and I'm like, damn, dude, you talk so slow. Drax actually thinks you're invisible. Um, so so he said, the girl was dead, and she was killing the other girl. So then re- so he went and he killed the wife because he was hurting the girl.
Yeah.
So what? It makes no sense. It's like, so how did she die? Like that she wasn't dead yet? Like, or
Who?
that he
The
said that
little
she,
girl? No, I guess
yeah,
she was already like dead by the time he pulled the lady off. You know.
which is like, dude, you can just do resuscitation. Like it's ridiculous.
Yeah, I have no idea. But of
But
course,
he's a dumbass.
he pulls her off, he kills her, and then instead of calling the cops or, just like knocking her out and calling the cops, he decides to load them all up into the truck and dispose of them, which we didn't even, mention how they did that.
Yeah.
Um,
So
they, maybe they, um, he, I'm not, I don't know. So should I just like say what he did, or
hold on.
because like
Titan.
I can just say it. I don't
Yeah,
know if you're a
no, no,
little
no,
bit
just say it.
okay.
No, just
So
say it.
like the whole thing, what he did. So basically, he smothered his he's strangled his wife. He said that her eyes filled with blood, and the way that he knew that she was dead was because she relieved herself. So then he wrapped her up in a sheet, and the little girls walked into the room. He had already tried to smother them, but they woke up, and so They walked into the room. He said he was like feeling annoyed and he was angry because they had walked in there. They were just going to be in the way. So he loaded everybody, including his dead wife, into the truck, took off driving. Yeah, took off driving for about an hour to the location that he was going to be working at, I think. Or maybe it was like another one. I don't know. But either way, he drove over there. And then he put his dead pregnant wife into a ditch, a shallow ditch, and like covered her, I think, with like some leaves or something. And then he smothered his younger
his
daughter.
youngest. Yeah.
He was 4. Disgusting. She was 4, so he, with her blanket, killed her with her blanket, and then took her into this oil tank where they have like crude oil, like just stuff, and threw her in. The opening was only 8 inches wide. Yeah, it was a hole at the top. The one I think that he threw her into had 12 feet. I think it was 9 or 12 feet of oil inside. Then he went back to his truck, and the little girl asked him if the same thing was going to happen to her that happened to her sister. And then he got the blanket, he did the same thing, and he said that the last thing that she said was "Daddy, no." And then he did the same thing. He took her to the other tank and put her in that one. And since she was bigger, it was harder to put her in there. And that one, I think, only had about 1.5 feet of oil and stuff in it. So she, yeah. And then when they, found him and whatever, they took him out. She had like scratches and bruises and things like down her body because he had to
you have to force her down.
Yeah, he had to like push her in there. So that's what he did. What a great
man. Yeah, so fucking sick. So
such a nice man.
So why did he kill his daughters?
He said that he thought it would be easier to be with Nicole.
Yeah, the girl that went in and turned him in, basically.
Which before this, it's not like he was, like great before this. Before this, he had tried to get his wife to miscarry by giving her medicine.
Yeah, well, they were on a boat, right?
They were on a trip. Where were they? I don't even remember where they were. Arizona or something.
Yeah.
I don't think.
Well, it was weird.
I don't know if it was on a boat.
I thought it was on a boat, but she had like seasickness, wasn't it? She had like a special kind of something to help her out, and then he like gave her something completely different to like make her really sick.
Maybe it could have been.
So
he did it multiple times. He did it the night that he killed her. He had given it to her too.
What was disgusting was the fact that in the text messages that she was basically telling him like, don't talk to her, you better not, I'm angry that you're staying with her, I'm angry that you're blah blah blah, how dare you're probably sleeping in the same bed, all kinds of shit. And what she said in the interview was like, and I told him, I said, you need to go back to your wife because you have little girls. I gave them books and I was like, read the books of how to save your marriage.
Yeah,
like dumb bitch. So
she was pissed.
So,
when he wouldn't talk to her for like a couple hours or whatever, like she would send messages like, "Are you with her? Like, is it because you're with her? Like, you mean with his wife?
Who is she? Tell me right now who she is.
Right.
I'll set myself on fire. Yeah.
I would.
Yes. EVPs, more like EV puta. Anyway, so
stealing jokes. That's crazy.
So anyway, so yeah, so this whole thing went down, right? Because he imagined that they were gonna live happily ever after. You know, could you fuck like what kind of sick
They hadn't even been
bastard?
together for that long.
No,
It
you
was 6
know,
weeks.
and she didn't even look that good. Anyway,
That matters.
so in his brain, he was just gonna start like this super happy life, right? It's like, oh, we're
Well,
gonna be happy, and
the thing that so what she said was like he liked me more than I liked him because I was so different than like what he had or what he was married to. But by messages and like everything that she was doing, I don't think it seemed
she
like
was
she
yeah,
was just as into it.
she was she was the same
Yeah,
in a lot of ways because she
but
would
I
boss him around.
I think she was well. See, I think that she was trying to like play it off like he's crazy, so that they would turn their attention away from her.
Yeah,
Um,
and to him, she said he had the look in his eye, and it's like, shut
yeah,
the hell up, bitch.
yeah.
Like,
She's like when she saw his mugshot, she was like he
yeah,
looks like a different person, and
that's not him. It's like,
his
bitch, you look like a
eyes.
different person.
Yeah, well,
Yeah, so it's just
he was
fucking
so
insane.
weird.
So the thing that gets me about this case is the fact that in his head, you know, it was just gonna be a happily ever after, and it's like in the back of your head, you gotta think you murdered your little girls and your wife, you know,
Yep.
pregnant wife for
Hmm.
this. Like, how the fuck were you expect? Well, unless he was what am I, Officer Sexy? Hey, um, so it's just one of those things where maybe he's just so sick that he could have lived happily ever after, you know,
He could have
until she left him for Jim.
until she left him. Yep.
Yeah, until she left him
Because
for Jim.
his first thing, she said, his first thing, like when it was all like over, which she sent him a song the morning that he killed them. I don't remember what song it was. Do you remember?
It was a song by Metallica.
And they looked up the lyrics and they were like, it's kind of weird.
Yeah,
'Cause,
yeah, they're dark
yeah,
lyrics. Damn, I remember. I can't remember what song it was, but the
I don't
lyrics were
remember
pretty
what
dark.
song it was. But like
Uh,
it was a weird song, and like I think I don't know if he looked up the lyrics for it or he played the song or something. Um, but he was listening to it like a little bit. It wasn't even that long before. I mean, that long after he killed them and like threw them in the tanks and like whatever, and
yeah,
which is insane. Like,
I don't remember what song it was by Metallica, but there is a song that's kind of like close to what he did. So I just imagine him driving that shitty piece of shit truck, and he's just listening to Metallica, just die, 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 my darling.
let's see. It says, she allegedly texted him to look up the lyrics of the Metallica song "Battery"
Oh
shortly after
jeez,
he murdered his family. Yeah.
sing the
Um,
sing the lyrics.
no,
You gotta
I
sing it
will.
like it like you're the Metallica, you know, like go
But you
ahead and get it done. You know,
there, yeah, do it. I'll wait.
no.
No,
So
well, there you
anyway, I just want to get back. And so
go.
anyway, so what are the lyrics? You don't have to sing them. Just say like, what are the lyrics that caught their eye?
Um, I don't know, but let's see. Can we say it on here? Are they gonna copyright
The
us or something?
only if you sing it.
Everybody look up the lyrics. I don't
Everybody
want
look up the
to.
lyrics of the song. All right,
Yeah,
whatever. So yeah, it was just weird. Like it's a dark
yeah.
song, and then he's
Especially
like
for
just
her to, send it that morning. It's
yeah. What
weird.
are the odds, huh?
Yeah. There's a lot of people that think that she had something to do with it.
Cyanide. That's justified.
I Do you think she had something to do with it?
I think so. I mean,
Like
it's
help
just
or
she
just
knew. I
didn't say anything?
I think that I think she might have helped because she was so worried about that she had nothing to do with it. Like, is
Hmm.
this gonna look almost as if saying like, what do they know? You
Yeah.
know? It was just such a weird, like the way that she was reacting, such a weird reaction. You know, she was like so busy, like, is this gonna come back to me? Is this gonna come back on me? Like what are people gonna say? Or she said, what are they saying? She said she watched the news to see what they were saying about her, not about what they were saying like about the family or anything. She's like, what are they saying about me? I can't stop
Yeah.
watching the news.
Well,
So
that's when she found out that the
that
wife was
she
pregnant.
was pregnant. But but that's what she says. But do you think that she said that that's how she found out? But again, the way she said it was kind of like, and I found out, like, you lied to me. I was kind of. But it's like
See,
that's exactly the same tone of voice that you took when you said something that obviously we know is bullshit.
what day did he kill them? Because she said that she saw him that Saturday, like the Saturday before. When did he kill them? Did he kill them on let me see, August?
I
Oh,
don't
okay.
remember.
He killed them on Monday or like Sunday night. So like
Jeez.
she saw him on Saturday.
Yeah, she saw him on Saturday, but also the day of the killings. I mean, the night of the killing,
Mhm.
she was like, delete all the messages. Like what the hell?
Yeah,
It-
sorry, it freaked me. I didn't. I don't know when that cat got there. Like I didn't realize until it was staring into the camera. It kind of freaked me out a little
there's no cat.
bit. Yeah, what's it called? What was happening?
So she told him to delete all the messages.
Oh yeah. So it's just gross. I think and also how would she not know if she saw him literally the day before?
Yeah,
Like
what's
he had
bizarre.
to have been acting weird or something. He knew he was gonna do it.
Yeah, what was bizarre to me, which was the fact that she called him the night that he killed him, and she's like, "How are you sleeping? Your family's missing." And it's
Mhm.
like,
But she
it's
also
just,
talked to him right before. They were on the
yeah.
phone
And
for
was
almost
it on
2
the
hours.
was it on the news yet that the family went missing?
No, it was right before he tried to smother the little girls. She was on the phone with him for
Which makes
2
no
hours,
sense.
and they
So
were
like, why didn't they pin her with something? Because how the fuck can she say like your family's missing? How are you sleeping? Like how are they? Like how the fuck would you know? Like they were supposedly there
but
because
no, no, no. She didn't say that until
she said
the
that during her
night.
interrogation.
Yeah, but that was at night. So
Oh,
they
the
went
night. Okay.
missing. Yeah, they went missing because she didn't go in to the interview until I think it had been like 3 days.
Yeah.
Um, so the day after that, everybody found out when he was like on the news and they were doing all these interviews, and he's like, "Just come back," and he's laughing and stuff, like literally not crying at all. Which is one of the things that they told him in like the confession. They're like, in these past like couple days, you've not shed one tear,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
like,
Exactly.
"Ugh."
And then he started crying. It's almost
Yeah,
like he had to remember to be human,
yeah, he wasn't sad.
So,
It's ridiculous. Like
uh,
he
uh, no, it's fucking stupid. It's like a big act,
yeah,
So anyway, so that happened, right? So what are you drinking?
coffee. Oh yeah, I forgot. I mean,
Oh,
water.
you can't fool us. So anyway, so that happened, right? So then now, you know, he's in jail. How long did he get?
I think he got life, didn't he?
I think wasn't he like eligible for parole like after 30 years?
Who knows? But that's like, I don't think he's gonna. Is it Chris Watts sentence? Yeah, I don't think he's gonna be getting out anytime soon.
Yeah, no, I don't think so. So
Sentenced to,
hopefully,
oh no, sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole.
okay then. Oh, I was looking at the Menendez
Probably,
brothers because that's
probably
also been
talking
a
about
big thing.
Ed Kemper.
Mother,
Even Ed
please,
Kemper got even Ed
please.
Kemper could get out,
He
and this
was
is
such That's because he was kind of likable. This guy is such a douchebag. You're like, dude, is such a douche. Fuck this
He was-
dude. Get
yeah,
him
in his
away.
interview, he was talking about like how he lost weight, which like he did lose a good amount of weight, but
Yeah.
he like lost weight, and he's like, I was
He,
245, and now I'm
he's like,
180. Like, sorry, your daughters are missing. Like,
you know you know you know the subway guy, bro. You know the subway guy, bro. He stole the story from me, bro.
oh, the subway
That's
guy.
a that's gonna be another
That's a
topic.
whole other, yeah.
Yeah. Right now,
Yeah.
what's going on right now? P Diddy. He's
Mm-hmm.
P Diddy's on trial right now. They have that footage of him just like
The
kicking that poor girl, and he like boots
girl,
her.
Jesus,
What's
that's
sick is
crazy.
what was fucked up is the fact that like before he got caught with like these crazy baby oil parties, people were defending him. It's like, well, you don't know what she said to him or what she did. It's like, what the hell are you talking about? Now that he's on trial for this kind of bullshit, everybody's like, oh, can you believe he kicked her?
This
Um,
this girl that I watch, have you seen how he looks?
P Diddy, yeah.
This girl that I watch compared him to a koala. She was like, we
So,
can't take pictures to a koala. She's like, you know when
oh,
koalas get like all like nasty and like
yeah,
mad
like all
and whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what he looked. And then I saw a picture and I was like,
They look
that's
like yeah. He
oh,
looks like a mother of four after they gave up. So
oh.
so yeah. Damn, that one guy had that joke about how like, damn, you used to hang out with P Diddy, right? And he was like, yeah. And you never went to any of his parties? And he's like, no. And they're like, really? You never went to the party? And he says he realized that he was the only one that wasn't invited to the party. And he's like, and then I realized I'm fucking ugly. And it's like he's like, that's a really fucked up way to find out that you're ugly. You're not invited to the
You
orgy.
Can you imagine being the only one in a friend group that doesn't get invited?
That
Like,
doesn't get
can you
invited.
imagine? Like, I wouldn't want to go either way, but I would feel a little bit bad. Like, you guys, you guys don't want me there?
Yeah,
All right.
it's like the friend that invites like everybody else to go camping with them, and then he kills them all, and then you realize that you're the only friend that didn't get invited to go camping. You're like, what the fuck? I wasn't
Then
doing
you're not,
anything.
yeah. Like the girls that Ed Kemper let go.
Yeah, exactly.
I
He's like,
wasn't
oh,
pretty enough to get stabbed.
he's like,
Crazy.
yeah. They're like, what? The fucking big, yeah, women.
Thankfully, I'm ugly. He just let me
Yeah,
go. But like,
yeah, vipers. Um. So anyway, so that's the Chris Watts story. It's so sick because
it's
go
gross.
go watch the interviews. They're long, but I
I
think
can
they're
link
worth.
them. I can link them in the thing.
All right, we'll go ahead and link them. And also, there's a link in the description to the merch. Um, I might make like an orgy shirt. Anyway, so
Jeez.
link link in the description. And damn, this episode's so fucking dark. And I don't like getting into the details of it because it's very dark and just sick.
Which
The fact that he
detail?
can, like for example, when he talked about, that he can feel like their little hot breath of the blanket, and the
Hmm.
slowing down. Like, and I'm
Yeah.
talking about the details, and I said I wouldn't. It's so the look on their eyes, and then
Yeah, she was just like
the
confused. Can you imagine, like
all right, okay,
how
no,
scared
don't do that.
she was 5.
Yeah, don't
She
do
was
it.
5. That's crazy.
Anyway, thank you guys for joining us on this fucking dark episode. It's depressing as shit.
Yeah,
Um,
it's his
so
birthday today.
yeah. Oh, happy birthday,
No,
Chris
quiet.
Watts.
You're gonna get his cancer.
Happy birthday. It's Dr.
I don't know what was
Cash.
happening right now.
Everybody celebrate Chris Watts. Everybody bring a shank to. Anyway, so,
Oh, okay. I was like, can you shut up?
yeah. Give him the Jeffrey Dahmer. So, all right. So, anyway, that was it, guys. So, thank you guys for joining us. Like and subscribe. If you know somebody that looks a little bit unhappy in their marriage, and you're like, "What's going on there?" Just show them this episode. Um, and remember, guys. So, damn it, I can't. Remember, guys. Always falls both ways. Okay. All right. always look both ways, especially if you find yourselves on Radio Road.
Oh God.